2000, and it has two main focuses. It's all about women's rights when it comes to peace and security. And one part is to protect women from gender and sexual violence and conflict. And the other part, which is our main focus, is the right for women to participate in all peace work and specifically peace negotiations. And that's why we have collaboration with Hind and also other women from Yemen. And just to take you back a bit, in the beginning I talked about the peace consultations which were held in Stockholm in December 2018. It was the official parties, the Hadi government and the Houthi rebels. They reached a ceasefire, right? Which has not been respected.
No.
And
from the both sides.
From both sides, exactly. At the very same time, on the 5th of December, Operation 1325, we held a parallel seminar with Hind and 7 other women from Yemen, where we talked about women's rights to participate in the peace talks or the consultations, because it was just one woman who participated in those official talks, and it was one woman from the government, right? Yes.
Yeah.
So I would like us to discuss that question. How can we gain access for women in the coming peace talks? If I understand it correctly, now there's sort of like discussions going on through back channels, right? In
Riyadh, like kind of like agreement between the part. When I had the parallel seminar in Stockholm, I was talking about why South Yemen not in that negotiation when it was in Stockholm, because South Yemen it's one of the main parties in a conflict. So I talked about that part, why South Yemen it's not on a table for negotiation. And then after that, there happened like the South Yemen, there is a one, it's not, but the main people, they support that, the STC, which is the South Transitional Council. And there is kind of action happened last August. They trying to deal with the government, but the government, they didn't let them to be one of the main parts for the peace negotiation.
So who are the South Transitional Council?
It's the kind of like, it's a group of people or a council. They represent the South voice. They started and after, in May 2017. So the STC created in that time. So it's the voice to represent the Southern issue. So because of the government, they didn't let them to have a voice with them. So they took kind of an action in last August in Aden. Like they forced, because they control the South, the most places they controlled by the STC. So they have the authority in southern places or the southern area. When they took this action, they forced the government to leave Aden, and they succeed by this. So that's why the government recognized the STC by this action. And then the Saudi Arabia take initiative to have kind of like agreement between the STC and the government, and they signed this agreement last week. And the government supposed to be to come back during these days to Aden and start working from Aden and instead working in Riyadh. This is the, they are the STC. So the STC, it's officially now, but they represent the Southern issue or the Southern voices.
So just to give a deeper understanding, why is it important for the South to be independent?
Because they feel I'm one of the South. I'm a person who's calling for the right to self-determination for South Yemen. When we see the history or 30 years back, the way how the Southern been lived in a kind of really open-minded people, a lot of girls going to school or even travel to have an education, a lot of women being part in many positions. We like a political, in schools they work also, they used to work in the military, they work without any hijab. You have the right if you want to wear hijab or not. Yeah, like a lot of people, they don't believe that was in South Yemen, in Aden especially. And then everything went upside down. And when the North, they took all of South, they removed a lot of people from the positions and works. They also removed the Southern military and they sent them home. They can't work in the military or in the police. They marginalized a lot of Southern people from them right to work and do a lot of stuff. So they felt they are occupied and they lived better life before the unity. And that's why they led them to want the separation again and just return them country back, because they didn't feel that they have a really good and succeed life during this period of unification between the North and the South. And also, one of the main points, we've been like living under a system which is the government control everything and everything is systemized. They also they respect the law, but the North, it's more like the tribe system. So that's why this tribe system somehow moved to the South. So, like for example, we don't have like a weapon like normal people or individual people. They carry weapon before the unity. The weapon had been only with the government, and people like work with the forces. After the unity, because it's kind of traditional in the North to have a weapon, so this kind of moved to the southern area. Yeah.
So just it's important to mention that Operation 1325 is politically independent, and we support all the women in Yemen, and of course you do too,
Yes.
right? Yes. Let me see. I know that you have, it's very interesting, you have quite an unconventional way of sort of going about in your activism. You have told me about a trip that you made to London a few months ago.
I'm always following the leaders.
Exactly. So just tell us about that.
I mean, because also of this kind of man mentality, they don't trust women to be in a political positions or like decision making. So I'm putting myself like following the leaders, and especially now when the STC, they are like represent the South voices. So I just see where they are. So last March, I heard that the STC, they represent, or the head of the STC gonna be in London. They're gonna have like a seminar in the British Parliament. So I checked like if there is any women participation in that seminar, and I heard that all the people who they register for the seminar, they've been only men. And I was like, but we also part of this movement, women being also in the streets, going for demonstrating for also right to self-determination, and also for the Southern voices. A lot of women, they lost a lot of them sons and husbands fighting, or just want for the separation, for the freedom. So they lost a lot of people. It's also women. So I emailed the organization who handled this seminar, and then they said like, yeah, we saw it's a lot of the names, like kind of like 99% they are men. I was like, okay, but can I have a chance to be there? They said like, yeah, sure. So they registered me, and then I booked my flight and I went to London. And after the seminar, we had kind of like a close meeting with Aidarus al-Zubaydi, he's the head of the STC now. And I started like telling him, we've been always talking about, we support you as an STC, we are not against this STC, we supported you also from the outside. Me and my group also, even if we are like independent, but we believe that he has a lot of the Southern voices, so we support you, but you have to know that women also should be part of the STC, and to give them also the trust and chance to also represent women voices in South Yemen. And for example, what happened in Riyadh, when I saw the picture the first time when they went to Riyadh, and the Prince Mohammed, the King Salman, they invited them to go to Riyadh, from Jeddah to Riyadh. And I saw the picture in the airplane, they've been only men. The first thing what I was focusing, what is women STC? Because I know there is a woman working with STC, but they also have chance, or they have the rights to be there also with you. And then I start like texting some leaders, like, where is the woman? They said like, yeah, we're gonna bring them, but we will see, because it was urgent. And then they came after that when they signed the agreement, and I started looking, where is the STC or the Southern women in that agreement? They said, yeah, we couldn't have chance to bring them, but you've been in Riyadh for 2 months. Why you didn't have chance to bring them, or to make a visa for them? Like, personally, I'd be like so angry, because we support STC, we support also the other Southern parties, but we didn't see that they take actions to bring women and also give them the chance to be in this, like, the positions like them. They take all the positions for them, I mean, as a man mentality. So I told Aidarus in London, so I told him, you have to start to make that clear with women. You have to make a lot of women participate with you. There is like kind of events, or for the peace process, or any negotiation. And he promised me, he said like, yes, we will do that. And I told him, now we are talking like friendly, but if there is any action we'll take after this, we will not just like, I keep like following you. I'm gonna start talk about this, because this is very important. If they ignore us from now, what they're gonna do later? So we are in the same line. So women should be in peace process. Women should be part of those, because we are part of them.
So this is the leader for the South Transitional Council
Yes.
that you talked to?
Yes.
Do I remember it correctly when we spoke earlier that you also talked to President Hadi? Is that?
No, I never talked to the President Hadi, but I know people in the government. But which is good that the government in the Riyadh agreement, they bring women, but as a guests, not in a main table, which is kind of like better than the other groups, like better than the Houthis or the STC, because STC, they didn't invite anything, even like any woman, even for guests, for example, which is so bad somehow. I'm so angry. Because it's really because we've been working in this for the South, and a lot of women, they also demonstrating in the streets. Where we can like see a lot of pictures. Half of the, I mean, like for the demonstration, it is women, because also they believe in the same thing. They want also the separation. They want the rights to self-determination. Why they ignore them? Yeah.
So women's participation is not only a right, but it's also a smart thing to do, as our former Minister of Foreign Affairs used to say, Margot Wallström. And there's studies, or like studies from the International Peace Institute, for instance, saying that peace negotiations where women participate have an active role. They last longer, they are implemented to a higher rate, and the chances that you get an agreement in, first of all, is bigger. So to include the entire society, to include women from civil society, is very important, and something that benefits all parties. And I want to go into that a bit deeper, but first of all, Peter Jan,